Noon, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well. Just thought I've just done a video there on the gender madness, and it's not for me really, and I'm not really. I don't really take part in it. It depends how old you are, I think, and it's like I'm 44, and when I was young in the 80s, it wasn't really a thing, and I kind of feel like people older than me as well and about the same age. We all sort of think the same thing, and it's like a time thing as well as we all die out and the youth come through in sort of 50 years time. It'll Nobody will probably know any different. That'll just be the way they think it's always been. But it isn't, and it wasn't for hundreds and thousands of years before now. But yeah, it's just that the brainwashing, once it seeps its way through the generations and the older generations pass away, then yeah, we're left with the knowledge of the time, so to speak, once it's filtered through, and the people who didn't know it are gone. It's kind of how it works. What this video is about, though, is about mental health and the modern day, and I actually heard Duncan Smith comment on this once briefly, and I kind of think Duncan Smith semi feels the same way about me about this subject, to be honest. Not that that might do me any favours with some people out there now. But you can all subdue the hate. I mean, there's just no need for it, to be honest. And, like, well, there's just no need for it. We're all just people, aren't we? And on the internet, on YouTube, and none of it really matters anyway. So just whatever, you know what I mean? Stop fighting about now because none of this ultimately matters, in my opinion. That's the problem. It's like some of the true crime, like Marvin and Sue here. I think they're actual investigators that are going to solve some of it here by making up constant lies. But yeah, you're just YouTubers, you know what I mean? You're just YouTubers. Everyone chill out. So you're not involved in an inquest or anything, so just chill. But anyway, mental health. So there's like a modern day crack now about mental health, right? And it is a modern day crack, as again older people will know. This talk of mental health is at best maybe 15, 20-year old, or maybe even not even that. And the big focus on it, and everybody to look after your mental health and all this sort of stuff, and it's a very sort of new concept I've found, and where me and Duncan Smith maybe agree on this subject. I will have to know if Duncan watches the video and comments. Um, it's again like it's like a bit like the gender madness thing. It's like everyone's mollycoddled and like pandered to, and this isn't the real world. And you've got to look at history for me to understand that all this sort of mental health stuff and being pandered to and mollycoddle, not a good thing. And when shit hit comes and hits the fan, as it so often does in this world, all you mollycoddle pandered to people will never ride the storm. You will never ride the storm. So if this was the case before the Second World War, and you were in these sort of people were in these sort of mentalities that we are today, and the Second World War hit, 60 million people died in the Second World War. Europe was devastated. Um, England was under the Blitz, and even living in England, you were on rations and under bombings, depending on where you were living, if you were in the cities and things. And it was a really, really bleak fucking time. For 6 years, I believe the Second World War lasted. And the people of the time were not worrying about their mental health. And because they were dealing with, this is the problem, see, for me. They were dealing with the situation that they had to deal with at the time, and this will have been affecting these people's mental health, obviously, but because it wasn't made a big issue of, that you could fall down, collapse into a heap, and just pull out the mental health card. Everyone had to get on with it. Had to get on with it. There's no lying in the middle of the road crying for weeks on end. You get your ass up. We need some food planted here, or we need something made for the war. Whatever, get your ass up here and get the job done. You know what I mean? There's none of this mental health crack. And if times like this ever come around again, I fear what would happen to this country. Do you know what I mean? Because that the youth and the people, that they're not built for any sort of adversity now, and whether it's been done on purpose, I don't know. Whether it's all part of some bigger agenda again to cripple the human being. I don't know, but it could be. You know what I mean? It's well, what's going on? Why are we all so? Everybody's so mollycoddled and worried about mental health these days. Like, yeah, everybody's mental health. Like mine, for instance, in life, I've been to counselling once before. As some people know, I went out with a girl and she got pregnant and she had an abortion, sort of against my will. I didn't want her to. And there's nothing I could do. And I had like 3 weeks to save a baby I couldn't save, and she eventually had the abortion. And that 3 weeks was torture, and I ended up having to go to counsellor, and I went to counselling for like 6 months. And that was the time of my life where my mental health was bad. That was the one time in my life when something happened to me that was I'm kind of used to it now. In like after this was about 8 years, 7 or 8 years ago now. I should have like a 7-year-old child or 6-year-old child at this point. I don't like to remember the dates or anything really, because that makes you remember it more. So I just try not to think how old they would be really, or think about it much, to be honest. Sort of block it out. Um, and that's kind of what you have to do to. It's not just to see the people after who've served in the war, in the Second World War, who come back, who've seen some things you wouldn't believe that they're seeing. These people often never spoke of it again, and the reason for that is because they locked it away. And within your mind's got an amnesic barrier, because if it didn't, and people who don't have this amnesic barrier, you will go insane, because your mind will play traumatic events over and over again. But your amnesic barrier stops that, and eventually you put it somewhere, and it's there and it can be played again, but you just try not to access that memory. And yeah, you just crack on with life best you can, and you do it for you. That's the thing. It's all this mollycoddling and pandering too. You live your life for you, so you get back on the horse, because there isn't really any other option in life than to get back up and get back on the horse. But you do it for you, because your life must go on, like in my life did after the girl had an abortion. This was now 7 or 8 years ago. My life went on. I'm still here. I'm doing this now, and yeah, and I'm obviously most people. I'm all right, to be honest. And my dad died like about a year and a half ago. And these life struggles and adversities are what life's about, in a way. Life could be deemed a test in many ways. Get yourself through all these shit storms, because that's what's coming a lot of the time in life. Shit storms. I don't know who said it, but they said that life was misery with brief moments of happiness, and I kind of agree with that statement, to be honest. Though life is what you make it, but at the same time, it's also like the world we live in. It's not a nice place, is it? It's a pretty dark place with murders and all this and wars, and you know what I mean. So it's like, if you pay attention, it's hard to be sort of carefree in a way, because paying attention to the world's misery. Yeah, I just think, don't get me wrong, it's like I do believe there is a thing like a mental health thing. As I say, I've been to counselling before, and I was in very bad times at them through them times, and it's you could even say on the verge of sort of suicide, but not really because one of my friends killed himself when we were 21, and I just don't think it's ever something I would do, to be honest. I just don't ever think it's that bad. Like if it's never that bad for me. Even everything I've just mentioned there, my dad dying on last having an abortion, and it's still just not that bad. Like it's life goes on, time heals, or time puts away the memories so you can carry on. If it doesn't heal, and you're only getting one shot at this. That's the other thing. Or as far as we know, you're only getting one shot at this life. And even if you don't make it a great one, you still, it's an experience. And say something is next, this could just be how you experience this section of whatever's happening here, if you know what I mean. Maybe you go to a different place now, and obviously you're not in this body, and this body's in this realm or this whatever. We don't know. That's the beauty of the Bible and God and all of this. Really, the tale is out there, but ultimately none of us really truly know it to be true 100%. And but the beauty of I find with that um sort of question in the world is we all get our answer at the end of the day, or the end of the line. We'll all get our answer if it's true, if it's false, if there's a heaven, if there's a hell, if it's all, you know what I mean, or we go somewhere else. It'll all be told upon our death in this world, and we'll all get our answer. So the beauty of that question is there a God? We'll all get to know. Should once when the curtain comes down, I fall into this. If it is all true, we all get to know. So it's one question that will be answered eventually. So yeah, just the mental health thing. I just think it's been pandered to again a bit this day and age, and in this pandering, we're creating wimps in a way, and people who fall down at the slightest adversity and say, oh, the mental health isn't good today, and you know what I mean. And there is people out there with problems. I don't get me wrong, or mental problems, and like schizophrenics and things like this that do have mental health issues and real mental health issues. But unless you're sort of going down them roads and you're just a normal person, then you shouldn't really be having mental health issues over the slightest little things, is my point. And it took for me someone to have an abortion, and in effect kill my only child, and I have no other children. It took that event to really sort of fuck me up. Do you know what I mean? And but I recovered from it, and I did go to counselling, but I helped myself as much as I went to counselling. I only went to counselling for an hour a week on a Wednesday. Now there's a lot of other hours in the week, and one thing I done was I joined sort of a spa gym called uh, what was it called? Christ, I can't remember the name of it now. It's next to Bassenthwaite Lake anyway. It's like a spa hotel, big country hotel, but it's got a pool and a gym and a sauna and a steam room and all these sort of things. And I joined the gym and at the pool primarily. I'm not really a gym person, to be honest. I started swimming and going there every day. It's like 30 mile away from my house or something to drive like 60 mile every day there and back. Cost me a fortune in petrol. Um, and I used to swim a mile a day. I started swimming a mile a day, and I was in the best physical condition I've ever been in, to be honest, after I'd finished doing that. But I stopped doing it to get a tattoo on my back. I've only got one tattoo. It's a big sort of Jesus cross on my back with a banner wrapped around it in with the words "In God's Hands" in the tattoo. And again, it's the only tattoo I've got or will ever get, and it's a gravestone for my child that was aborted because it has no gravestone or any burial grounds or anything at all. Didn't have a funeral or anything like that. So the big tattoo on my back of a Jesus cross within God's hands is in effect a memorial or a gravestone for my child that I never got. Um, and I stopped swimming to get that tattoo, and you can't really swim with chlorine when you get a tattoo because it messes that tattoo up. And it took quite a long time to do this tattoo. It's right across my entire back. Like Tupac had the same tattoo, I think, on his back. I'm not sure if he had God's hand in God's hands in the banner, but I'm sure he had a big cross on his back, Tupac. Um, yeah, and the swimming and the exercise and the getting out of the house, and I was going for walks as well, and all that as more than the counselling, to be honest, was how I recovered from it all. It was time. It was putting my energy into something, or the pain into something good and positive rather than negative. And um, yeah, and going for walks and thinking it all through. All the time, I'm swimming and I'm walking and I'm a deep thinker all the time. And yeah, I think everything very very deeply, and it would drive most people insane. I think, to be honest, how much I think about, like, it's part of like being autistic. I often think if you like it would drive most people insane if to have this level of like fucking erratic thoughts and just fucking constant. Like, I have to go to bed halfway through the day most days because my mind's fucked and tired from just fucking running around in circles. I need to rest my mind in like half the time that most people, that's sort of kind of what you do when you go to sleep. You rest your mind, and I kind of have to go halfway through the day and have like a 2 or 3 hour sleep halfway through the day to like re-rest my mind to get back up and be sort of fresh again. And yeah, but I just thought it all through, and you think that not just that through life through, and again everything I've said at the earlier points of this, that life's a journey and shit'll happen, and as bad as everything sort of sounds to some people, maybe it's not. Like, people have had a lot worse in life. That same thing have happened to many other people. I would imagine many other men, and yeah, it's something that I'm sure somebody else has had to deal with before and dealt with. And it was like the death of my dad, same. It's something we all have to deal with, and it's just something you've got to get through. And life's quite short, to be honest. That's the other thing, is life quite short, and yeah, peaks and troughs, and you've got to remember when you're in a trough, there will be another peak, and when you're on the peak, never forget that there'll be a trough, and that's kind of how you need to look at life to get through it. That it's up and down, and there'll be ups and downs, and there'll be adversities, and there'll be happiness, and there'll be weddings and children, and but there'll be deaths and funerals as well at the same time. And it'll be hard. That's the other thing. Nobody said this was going to be easy at all. To be honest, this life, it may be a struggle, and the struggle, the shit, the depth varies, as the saying says, and we all get it in different amounts. But another saying is if we all went into a room and threw our problems in a bowl, and you were offered to take someone else's problems away, you would leave with your own, because at least you know them and you're used to them, so to speak, and you would keep your own problems rather than take other people's. So yeah, I'll leave it there, people. Pete. Just a thing on mental health, and I do think it is a thing, and it is a serious thing, but I think it can be mollycoddled to and pandered to these days, and it's something that life's hard, but you've just got to crack on. That's what you've got to do. You've just got to crack on. Peace.